What's up, guys? I'm spending some time in the basement tonight, so it's time for a little update on my garden down here. The greens shelves are looking pretty good. The bottom is maybe not quite as good, but these two top rows are doing really well. The top row is being lit by those Horticulture Lighting Group QB96s, and then these guys, the middle row and the bottom row, are run off of little Samsung 1-footer strips, the H series. So that's coming along swimmingly. I should be ready for some salad very, very quickly. The main thing I want to talk about is my comparison of the Horticulture Lighting Group HLG 65 versus the Viparspectra 300 watt light with my tomatoes. So here's the Viper. This thing actually pulls 130 watts from the wall, even though it's called a 300 watt light. It's not really a 300 watt light. This HLG 65 is a QB 120 quantum board run off of a Meanwell OWA 60U24, and this thing actually pulls a true 65 watts from the wall. So I'm going to back up a little bit, show you what's going on with these two tomato plants. There's been quite a bit of a change since the last update that I did. I've got a whole bunch of tomatoes going right now. It's tricky to get the white balance right, or the exposure right, under this Viper light, because everything looks a little bit funky. So this plant has this one cluster of tomatoes in the center that is really hauling ass. There's like 2, 4, 6, 8, I don't know, there must be like 12 of them in there. That's going really nicely. The HLG light has that same kind of deal, although there are less of them. There's probably 8 of them in here, but it's shooting out little bits here and there. Like this guy is hanging out outside of the cage because he's more of a free spirit. But there are little bundles and bunches of tomatoes on this light. All sorts of places. Everywhere you look, there's like a little tiny bundle. So they're still relatively small at this point, and they're nowhere near ripe. But progress is progress, and I have high hopes and dreams for these plants here. We've definitely cleared the top of my cages, so it's a free-for-all at this point. What happens with these things? I'm hoping they stay somewhat civil and stay kind of contained, but I don't really care. This guy got a little bit too close to the light. As you can see here, burnt a little bit of the leaves, but the light was hanging like right down against this cage at that time, so I didn't catch it until a little too late, but now everything seems to be good, and I've got the PPFD somewhat balanced again between these two lights. In behind these Heartbreaker F1s, what I should have done with these guys a long time ago is boost them up so that they could get as much light as the other ones were getting, just because look at the height difference between these plants. In front, this is the golden shower tomato, or golden sunrise tomato, whatever you want to call it, the yellow one. And then in the back is that little Heartbreaker Vita F1, I think it's called. And these guys, well, they do have like a ton of tomatoes, like way more tomatoes on the little Heartbreakers than the golden sunrises. They're like a lot smaller, and I think that may just be a result of not getting as much light, since there's, you know, almost 4 feet probably between the light and these plants in the back. And same goes for the HLG side. It's a very stocky, short, and bushy plant with a whole buttload of tomatoes on it. But it may not be too late. I think if I can find something like maybe a 5-gallon pail for this side and for that side, then maybe we can still kind of salvage these and get some decent sized tomatoes. And to tell the truth, I don't really know what size of fruit these are supposed to produce. I'll have to check that little package and see. So that's where we're at. If I were to summarize this with a sweeping generalization, I'd say the Viper plant has a lot more central clusters with big tomatoes, whereas the HLG plant, like, see how the Viper doesn't really have anything coming off the sides anywhere? It's all right dead center, and that may just be the genetics of this plant. But this guy here, it does have that little center cluster with less tomatoes, but there are more coming off the sides on this guy. Some here at the top, some new ones forming over here, in there. So I'm really not sure actually which one has more at this point. If I were to eyeball it, I would say probably the HLG 65 plant has more tomatoes, but maybe these ones in the center of the Viparspectra plants are just a tiny little bit bigger. So it'll be interesting to see once these start to ripen what kind of yield we get off of each, like if I weigh them out, how each of them is doing. But time will tell, and I'll try to keep you posted on that. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.